As a 30-year resident of the river towns, I'm always fascinated by some of the famous families that had lived in the river towns long before we did. And one of the most interesting ones that I found out about just recently is the Draper family of Hastings-on-Hudson. John William Draper was already an accomplished medical doctor and chemistry professor. He was an author and founder of what later became NYU University Medical School when he bought some land in Hastings in 1847. One of his many interests, photography, was most important to him, and he became well known in shooting using new techniques that had been invented by Louis Daguerre in France of photography, and he was able to improve on the methods that Mr. Daguerre had came up with in regards to the speed of the exposure, so people wouldn't have to sit as long to get really good quality images, because people used to sit for 20 minutes, and if you moved a little bit, you would have a blurry picture. So Dr. Draper was able to improve on this and just loved the idea of photographing. And one of the main things also that he loved to photograph was the skies above. And these are some pictures of a female face. This was actually the most clearest female face ever done in 1840 of his sister. And again, using this new technique that he invented, improving on the techniques already done by Louis Daguerre. And one of the pictures that he did photograph were in New York City of the moon. And that became well known around the Draper family. Dr. Draper had many children, 5 actually, and the most famous was Henry, who also followed in his father's footsteps by becoming a doctor and actually a professor, and loved photographing the skies above. So while he was actually going to medical school, he was shooting hundreds and hundreds of pictures and all of the skies above, and mostly from Hastings. A few years before he had graduated from medical school, he went to Ireland with his brother, Daniel, and they had seen these observatories in Ireland, and they decided to model one in Hastings on the property and that his father bought, the 20 acres. And they built this observatory, which is seen on the right, and he was shooting hundreds and hundreds of pictures of the skies above, and become well known for doing while teaching and getting his medical degree. Some of the most famous pictures that Henry took was this picture on the left of an eclipse in Wyoming, and it had been the clearest picture of one that had ever been done. And also on the right, the most clearest picture of the moon, which was taken at Hastings at the time. I don't have the exact year that the picture was taken, but it was the clearest picture to date, and it was early in the late 1870s. On the left is a picture of the telescope that they used to use to shoot on the grounds in the observatory. And also one of the other famous Draper family people was Antonia Murray. And she was actually John Williams' granddaughter and Henry's niece, and she graduated from Vassar with honors in 1887 in astronomy and physics were her specialty. So she went on to work at Harvard, and that is actually where Henry's wife, Anna, who has appeared in the first slide, took all of his works and gave them as a gift and kept a catalog of all of Henry Draper's pictures. So Miss Murray was working as a professor over at Harvard, and she developed a classification of a system for stellar spectra, which is used to the properties of stars, and it's actually still in use today. And she was also noted for her groundbreaking work in the study of these spectroscopic binaries. These are double stars that are not seen as separate when they're viewed in a telescope, but they are measured by variations in wavelength. This is a little bit above my pay grade here. But she was very famous, very smart. And then when she retired, she came back to Hastings, and she lived on the property, which had been kind of in a flux for a while because of some family issues, and liked to set up a telescope on the property and show the residents of Hastings about the stars and looking up and the beauty of them. So, and she was also recognized in 1943 by the American Astronomical Society as a distinguished woman astronomer. So on grounds now is the Hastings Historical Society, which became a national landmark in 1975 and now houses the Hastings Historical Society. And they welcome visitors to come see the permanent exhibit of the Draper family, as well as other famous pictures that Henry had taken and other very interesting things about the village of Hastings. I want to thank Jan Clow and Natalie Barry for their content in providing this article, which appears in the spring edition of Neighborhood Buzz. You could read this article and many more at www.nbuzz.net by subscribing. And again, I want to thank the Historical Society for permission to use this article in the magazine, and especially Jan Clow and Natalie Barry for providing such excellent content. If you have any questions, feel free to comment, and I hope you liked the video.